well, if it isn't True Review, right here with another top 10 list. Ever fall in love with a gaming series, and then another game came out for it which was crap, and then everything else that came out after it was also crap? Or maybe the series just died as a result? Well, here we have the top 10 games that ruined their franchise. Rules for this list are as follows. The game in question must have permanently ruined their franchise, meaning that if the series later picked up again, then that game doesn't count. Also, only one game per franchise. So much anger going on right now. Hit it! DMC, Devil May Cry. There seems to be two schools of thought when it comes to DMC Devil May Cry. Either it's the worst game to have ever been made, and quite frankly, its presence was insulting, or yeah, it was alright. Well, surprise bloody surprise, True Review is about to say something that a lot of people will find outright offensive. I thought it was alright. Don't get me wrong, it's not 10 out of 10 and I much prefer some of the older ones, but can you honestly say the Devil May Cry 2 was serious? Can you honestly say the Devil May Cry 4 was serious?
I should have been the one to fill your dark soul with light!
However, taking the title of this video into consideration, it did destroy any chance of there being another Devil May Cry. DMC Devil May Cry is a... hang on, what's up with the name? Doesn't DMC stand for Devil May Cry anyway? That means that this game's full title is Devil May Cry, Devil May Cry. Derp. Anyway, DMC is a reboot of the classic franchise that did away with a lot of what made the old game so appealing, i.e. a witty and hyper badass main character, but unfortunately this new Dante just didn't hold a torch anywhere near the old Dante. The gameplay was alright, but felt a little watered down in order to make it more playable for those with the IQ of a cheese sandwich, and the plot was very forgettable. And considering the reception it got and seeing as no new games have come out since, I guess another one bites the dust. Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2. Shut up, Force Unleashed 1 was fucking excellent. Might even be my favourite Star Wars game. So imagine how hyped I was to hear that the sequel was coming out. Do you want to know how much I was hyped? You do ya? Well, I wasn't, because I hadn't even played the first one back then. However, I do remember it being advertised the shit out of, and was certainly up for playing it after I finished Force Unleashed 1. Well, what a flaccid cock this one turned out to be. It was so bare. It was so empty. Okay, it carried over a lot of what made the first game good, but then it did nothing to build upon it. In fact, it felt like they did less with it this time. Force powers have barely changed, except now you can convince stormtroopers to jump out of a window, which is actually pretty hilarious. The story... what story? A small number of levels, one of which involves you going to Dagobah, and then Yoda shows up and he's like, "Sup?" And then you're like, "Sup?" And then you fuck straight off. There's so much they could have done with this game, but it turned out to be a very short letdown, and closed the door on any new ones coming out in the future. Assassin's Creed Revelations. Oh look, someone at Ubisoft wanted some lunch money. That's the only reason I can think of for why this game exists. No one asked for it. Do you know what everyone's reaction was when Brotherhood came out? Oh, Ezio again, huh? Okay, but no more after this. Brotherhood was, in my opinion, the last good Assassin's Creed game. Yes, this is taking Assassin's Creed 4 into consideration, because, as I've said before, that game was a great pirate game, but a terrible Assassin's Creed game. So anyway, Revelations came out. First off, what a generic and overused subtitle. Secondly, what was the fucking point of it all? Ezio is now old and has turned his Zimmer frame into a hidden blade, and must go about the place... something something piece of Eden. Oh, and who wants a pointless tower defense game? Fucking cheer. As if the Assassin's Creed series wasn't bloated enough with pointless gimmicks, now we have another one where you do absolutely nothing, and watch to see if the defences we placed are worth anything or not. In my eyes, the series has gone downhill big time since then. Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation might be the exception, as every other title to come out has been but a mere shadow of what it once was.
Lane Goodman.
Star Fox Zero, aka Star Fox Zero Entertainment, to be found here.
Move on! Nothing to see here! Please disperse! Nothing to see here!
Just everything was bad about it. It's the new Nukem Forever. Yeah, spoilers. The controls are easily the worst thing about it, where you'll need 2 pairs of eyes in order to play it properly. The Wii U screen shit is forced upon us once again, as you have to manage the controls by looking at that and the screen at the same time. This is another kick to the bollocks, because we had to wait an absolute age for a new Star Fox title to come out, and then it turned out to be absolute shite. Well, I can't sound too surprised given the nature of video games these days. It's new IPs or bust. Next. Postal 3. The Postal series, up until this entry, was so funny. It was graphically violent, but it's not meant to be taken seriously. In fact, that's one of the best things about it. But when the Running with Scissors guys decided to team up with Uwe Boll, not to mention the shit movie they made, the series started to go massively downhill. Postal 3 came out, and not only did it completely fuck everything up, but it put the series in a position where it was almost impossible to recover from. The devs did eventually make something worth playing again, with another DLC for Postal 2, but now it feels like we've taken a step back to Postal 2 because it's safe. Well, Postal, it's been fun while it lasted. Except for the end part. Empire 3. Oh, excellent! I haven't had a chance to talk about this one for ages. It was fucking terrible.
Oh, God!
Jesus Christ, Live at the Apollo. How could anyone screw up the Empire Earth series? Number 1 was the nuts. It still is the nuts. It's like Age of Empires, but bigger and with way more shit. I also found it really entertaining to progress through the ages so quickly that you end up attacking your enemy, who is still in the Roman period, with robots and lasers. Empire Earth 2 was just Empire Earth 1 all over again, so no point playing it really. But then number 3 came out. A small handful of ages to advance through, and not much in the way of gameplay, stuff to build, or things to recruit. It felt like an early access game that was still in alpha, except this was charging us full price. There's only 3 things I can say about this game. Avoid, avoid, avoid. So that's that series deader than Elvis. Medal of Honor Warfighter. Oh god. Medal of Honor. The apple's fallen far from the tree, hasn't it? I know what happened here. There was a time when Medal of Honor was at the front of the World War II shooter genre, but then the likes of Battlefield and Call of Duty came along and started pushing it to the side. But then as the modern warfare culture was born and COD and Battlefield decided to leave the comfort zone of World War II, never thought I'd say that about the Second World War, Medal of Honor decided to jump on the bandwagon as well and make their own modern shooter to show everyone that they're still cool. What we got was something absolutely generic and bland. If I had to describe the experience of this game by choosing a colour, then I'd pick grey. It has absolutely nothing going for it, and it was just another terrible and bland title to throw onto the heap that was the multitude of generic Modern Warfare titles that were soon to follow. The market became saturated with this shit, but Warfighter was one of the first to be thrown on there, and as a result, the series has never been able to recover since. Resident Evil 5. Resi 4 was a big gamble, but managed to put it off, mainly due to the atmosphere, the use of secret societies, loads of hidden stuff to find and collect, and a story that you could sink your teeth into. Oh, and hilarious villains. If the original Resident Evil games were serious gentlemen sitting at a gentleman's club, reading the newspaper, smoking cigars and drinking brandy, then Resi 4 is the son of one of the members who has just come back from a heavy night of drinking, wearing a traffic cone on his head, and his trousers have inexplicably disappeared. A hilarious and entertaining sight to behold that's vastly different from its superiors, but has several bad characteristics that need to be addressed. Resi 5, on the other hand, is like Resi 4's annoying friend who idolises him and wants to be him, but will never be as entertaining or as charismatic no matter how much he imitates Resi 4. Resi 4 is quite a bit wrong with it, but we can forgive it because it also has a lot of good stuff going on. Resi 5's approach was to remove all the good stuff and... done. And then Resident Evil 6 came out and it was so bad that it makes me sad. Well, that and it seems to be permanently on offer for about £2. Like, these distribution sites really want rid of the massive piles of unwanted Resi 6 copies that will never be sold. Duke Nukem Forever! You knew this one was coming, as you know what will be in a number 1, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Sorry, I wasn't saying that about the number 1 entry, I was saying it to Duke Nukem. Duke, let's not get ahead of ourselves. You got ahead of yourself, didn't you? Though I will admit that it was fun in places and that no game would ever be able to live up to the amount of time we waited for it, but not only was Duke Nukem Forever one of the most disappointing games ever, it inadvertently killed off the franchise. After Gearbox realised that Duke Forever wasn't received well, they decided to make a DLC to try to claim back some of the lost glory. But the DLC did nothing more than add new levels, and didn't address any of the underlying issues from the vanilla game. And then they just decided to bin the franchise. Well, I mean, why wouldn't they? It's dead now. Any new Duke game to be advertised will be treated with suspicion, and many people may not want to buy it. It's a shame really, because if you look at the new Doom, you could do something like that and just have Duke's voice over the top, and it'd be awesome. Oh well, what have we got for number 1?
It's been 1 week since you looked at me. Cocked your head to the side and said I'm angry.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. There was a time when Sonic the Hedgehog was the main rival for Super Mario. Oh, that's right. Sonic was the main rival for video gaming's most famous and loved franchise to date. However, as Mario successfully made the transition from 2D to 3D, Sonic didn't. Some okay games came out, but nothing too terrific. But it wasn't until 2006 did the final coffin nail get hammered home. Sonic 06 was so incredibly broken and glitched, contained nothing worth spending any of your time on, and is still considered one of the worst games to have ever been created, that it effectively destroyed the franchise for good. And whilst new Sonic games have come out since Sonic 06, all of them, well except for maybe Sonic Generations, have been terrible. I think it's best if Sega just stop raping Sonic's corpse and bury it like they should have done a long time ago. The franchise is over, Sonic Boom proved that, and let's just all go and play something else. And we're finally done with this topic, but if you've been raping Sonic's corpse as well... Is anyone here actually raping Sonic's corpse right now? Let me know in the comments section. And while you're at it, like and subscribe and Twitter and Patreon and tell me how much you love me because that's where I get my power from. See ya!
Intergalactic continental jet running things, hyperactive instrumental with pulling strings.